Teachers of Reddit, what is something a student of yours has said that made you think, wow, there is no hope left for you? Kid, totally serious, I'm going to drop out. I'll make money off of YouTube. How many views are your videos getting? I have 4 subscribers, so I just need a few more.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
I'm a 2nd grade teacher. I have a boy who lies constantly about anything. He was on camera, watching the footage of himself punching a student in the face, and he crossed his arms and said, "If I didn't do it, then I didn't do it." The worst part is his mom believes every word he says, and attacks the school for making him accountable for his actions. He's going to do something as an adult, and go to jail. When they pull him away, I know he's going to be yelling, "If I didn't do it, I didn't do it." It's not a lie, if you believe it. On Friday, a girl told me that she and her mother were walking down the street behind an old man. The old man reached into his pocket for something and all his money fell onto the sidewalk. She and her mother ran and picked it all up. When the old man tried to take it back from them, they told him it was their money and to go to hell. I sure hope karma smacked them both upside the head pretty sharpish after that. I don't know about karma, but I'd use a shovel. My wife told me this story about a time she was lecturing a kid on why he should try to do well in school. She asked him what he wanted to be when he grows up. His response, "I want to be in jail. That's where my dad and uncle is." She had no response. Probably the only time in her career that she was left speechless by a student. Duck, that's actually really sad. If you study, you could get a job as a guard in their jail and make life nice for your dad and uncle as well as seeing them every day. I had a senior say she didn't think it was fair. I've grown to hate that word BTW. That my exams used short answer questions instead of multiple choice. She said some of us just aren't good writers. I responded that, if you're a senior in college and can't string a few sentences together, something has gone wrong. She stormed out of class. College? Sadly, yes. She was a 7th-semester senior. Not an Ivy League school or anything, but a reasonably well-respected state school. I ain't doing any of that shit. My mom already said she's signing the papers to drop out as soon as I turn 16. You're not very bright, are you? I want to be a drug dealer, but the cool kind. You know, the ones that wear a suit and carry a briefcase. He was 17 at the time and completely serious. He was expelled a month later for jumping another student. I had one student at a bilingual school in Mexico, who after being at this school and supposedly learning English for 5+ years, still couldn't speak it, and barely tried to make any effort to learn anything. Didn't do assignments, and failed almost every test. When we mentioned it to her parents, their attitude was that she doesn't really need it, because she will just marry someone who will take care of everything for her. My thought was, who would want to marry someone who doesn't know anything, and makes no effort? I knew a girl like this. Outright refused to work, or even do any chores for her family, because she'll just marry a rich man that'll do everything for me. I remember hearing about how she'd lose her shit if someone so much as asked her to rewind the VCR. Incident number 1, can we just not learn this? It's hard. We should just skip it. Incident number 2, I don't have to get good grades. My grandfather owns a house, and when he dies, my family is going to sell it for $1 million, so I won't have to ever get a job. I like how people think $1 million means they and their families are set for life. A girl in 8th grade told me she wanted to have kids, 2 to 3, by the time she was 18, so she could have the energy to keep up with them, and then be a stripper to support them. I mean, not a bad plan exactly. If she can hold it down and stay away from drugs, and she's good looking, then we are talking a mom who is there for her kids all day, but the babysitter puts them to bed, but mama comes home with $900 a night in cash. Then when her looks start to go, or she's over it, she's still young enough to go back to school or learn a trade, or whatever, while her kids are getting ready for college, which they will pay for in crumpled or slash and tightly rolled $1 bills. A teacher? A teacher? Honey, strippers make twice that money. I work at an alternative school for kids kicked out of public school for severe emotional and behavioral issues. A lot of them are going to require government services for the rest of their lives. There's usually not just one thing they say, but we know that they will never have normal lives. It's a little disheartening to hear a 6-year-old scream that he's going to duck and kill you, especially when you were playing tag not 5 minutes before. There's a young boy who can be very sweet and is an adorable blonde butterball. However, he has pretty severe behaviors and gets restrained at some point on a daily basis. I saw his parents one day, because they live in government subsidized housing close by, and walk him to school. It was 50 degrees out, and the little boy was in a basketball jersey and shorts. His parents looked exactly how I expected them to look, and were rude to all the staff they interacted with. It just showed me that no matter how much we do, he spends most of his life with his shitty parents. Edit. Having a child with behaviors doesn't inherently make someone a bad parent. But in our program specifically, most of the students come from harsh backgrounds which either causes or exacerbates their behavior. I'm a teacher, but the quote is from my sister. I don't need to go to college, because it's easier to see God when you're in the gutter. 5 years later she's in a trailer with her abusive fiancé. And God. I teach English in Japan and sometimes here. I don't understand this, because I'm Japanese. What a well-constructed sentence for a Japanese person. Well, they say it in Japanese. I had a student who was always acting up. I constantly tried talking to him about his behavior, and I wrote plenty of referrals. Throughout all of this I would email and call his mother, but never got a response. One day he was pacing around and texting someone. I told him to put his phone away, and he said I can't. I'm not too happy right now, so I said, will you take it out to the hall, and I'll give you 1 minute? His response really shook me. He said no, I'll sit down. I just want my mom to turn the water back on. When all you know about a student is what you see in the classroom, it can be easy to forget they may not have a great home life. So I did wonder, is there hope for him? But it also wasn't truly any fault of his own. He just had a shit home life, where he was stricken by poverty. I had a student say, I don't need to learn any of this. I won't use it in real life. When I tried to explain why math was going to be useful, he responded, you're a dumbass. Watch me get rich without even going to school. I mean, sure, it's been done, but probably not the best idea. Are we ever going to use this as an adult? You won't, but some of the smart kids will. Savage burn. I had a first grader throw chairs and desks at me for about a week, after 2 months of horrific behavior that the parents and administration ignored, one hard enough to injure my knee, before I finally had enough video evidence for the principal to get involved. The student refused to speak to me at all. Eventually my co-teaching partner got him to explain why he was doing it. I just don't like him. I feel bad for the kid. He has serious emotional problems. I don't know if I'd say there is no hope left, because first grade is pretty young to write someone off. I hope he gets treatment. University professor here. A student last term never purchased the textbook, and thus never did his homework, sat in the back, and spaced out all class, failed one exam, and barely passed the other. He came to me during the final week of class to ask me if he could do all of his missed assignments, and then asked why I didn't remind him to do them. Bro, this is university. I'm not chasing after you. I asked my students what they could have done to better prepare themselves for their exam. One responded with, you should have told me to revise better. The revision sheets, and this is really important, wasn't enough apparently. Or my personal favorite, well, you didn't make a fun study game, so how was I supposed to study? My response is always, why don't you make a fun study game? /entitled kids. Alright students, it is exam months now. Remember to study hard, but more importantly, remember to have fun, and take care of yourself too. Eat well, work out. Your studies are not more important than your health. Much love, Daniel.